All right. So, welcome to my podcast here. This is Kristin Zessinger. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I wanted to introduce you here. Kristin is the GOAT of all travel agents in the world. Like, she's the most amazing. We've done multiple trips with you. She has absolutely just knocked it out of the park every single time. Any problem or anything that needs to be handled, any last minute changes. I know you do like cancellations. I've seen you in other trips of other people because a lot of our friends and everything use you as well. So, so welcome, I should say.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So I wanted to get you on here as well because, in our business, like I'm going to say the insurance business, right? And really any kind of sales business and everything, a big part of what we do is about the reward system. And trips is a big part of those reward system. Now, I would say in the past couple of years, maybe that's like it kind of came back online. I think for a minute there, it kind of went offline a little bit as far as companies paying for that and everything else. But tell me a little bit about your business, how you got started, and what it is that makes you amazing.
Well, I work for the Travel Gals. I've done this for about 5 years now. I have always been in the travel world. My mom is a travel agent, has been my whole life, so we've always traveled a lot. I actually have a major in chemistry and minor in biology, but as you can tell, that's really going well.
Right.
Never did anything with that. I basically got married right after I graduated, was going to do pharmaceutical sales, and then I got pregnant right away, so I decided to stay home with my children while they were young, and yeah, so I could be there for them, and then this kind of came up several years, 5 years ago now. I thought, I'll do this part-time, and it blew up. Like, I do about 10 to 15 destination weddings a year that I'm in charge of. A lot of, like you said, a lot of companies are doing incentive trips. Even like as far as, some companies for their top producers, even just like a gift certificate to force them, because that's the only way that they get out and take a vacation. Because some of their employees are like, they'll never take a vacation if I don't do this for them.
Yeah, I know that feeling well.
Which is awesome, but and just by word of mouth and everything, I was one of like the top 10 agents with FunJet Vacations last year. So it's huge. I do have 3 kids. I have a 9-year-old girl, 7-year-old girl, and then a 1-year-old baby boy that we kind of started all over with. So kind of crazy, but we're in for it, and so I love what I do.
How do you manage all this? I know that, like, even coming here, like, you got to make arrangements, to be like, do you have family that helps out and that kind of thing? Because being a mom, I've witnessed it from my own, not from my own mother, I guess the mother of my kids, right? So my wife, she, I see her handle a lot of hats and, different things that she does. And I don't know how you would slide a job in there as well. You know what I mean? Because it's like momming is a full-time job,
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Thankfully, my husband is my number one go-to. I wouldn't be able to do it without him. He is so hands-on, the best dad. A lot of times I'm working till 2:00 in the morning. Not ideal, but I really wanted to be home with my baby, so I do have him during the day too. So it does make it hard. And the girls are both in competitive gymnastics. We're there 6 days a week. So it is a lot of hats to fill, but it all goes out to my husband because he is probably more of a mom figure as far as the house rules. He cooks, he cleans.
Where do we find it, Travis? That's awesome.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to do it without him.
We love some Travis.
I'm crazy, so he kind of brings my crazy down. But
that's what marriage is really all about also, is balance, and helping each other out. Like, Angie is the emotional side of Steve, right? I would say I was very dull in my emotions at one point in time. I was all about the flash, the cash, trying to get out there and sell and make money and flaunt it. And that's what I was about. And then this wonderful woman comes in my life, and she's like, let's talk about your feelings, you know,
Yes,
and like,
yes,
let's talk about
absolutely.
your emotions. And she brings a different side out of me that makes me not only just a better dad, a better husband, but a better person. And I think that that's really important. And you see a lot of that when you have a marriage that is a 50-50 partnership, you're meeting halfway at the 50-yard line, you're going to have where you're going to boost each other and help each other succeed. And it's no surprise that you guys have become wildly successful. I mean, you guys, I know it's probably been about, a year or so now and stuff. You guys have moved,
Yes,
and you guys have
did.
moved into your new house. And then, again, all of a sudden the baby boy comes along, like out of, and, you know, I think that it's 3 at this point, right?
Yeah. Yes.
3.
Third kid.
Okay,
Yes.
right? I know I got 3 that I know of too, right?
We started all over. I wouldn't change it for the world, but
yeah,
it definitely changed a lot of things.
I mean, it's different. Like it's funny because I've been doing this rental car business, right? So I kind of started up, like you were saying, like a side hustle. And there is no like throttle for Steve at all when it comes to business. Like it's either all or nothing. So I'm out here, I'm like, I'm going to change the game. I'm going to offer car seats. I'm going to like fill the cars with drinks and my koozies for, you know, and like give them some cool Mr. Insurance glasses or something, you know, like I'm going to find some ways to be totally different in this industry, which I'll get to with you too,
That's
how
awesome.
you stand out, or at least how I notice you do. But in that being said, we have had this enormous amount of requests for car seats. So Steve is now learning forward facing,
Rear
facing. Yes, rear facing. And then apparently I got yelled at by my wife because this lady was like, I need a rear facing or a forward facing car seat and 4 years old. So I look up on Amazon and I'm like, oh, it's like $40 or something for this sit upon, right? Or booster seat.
Yeah.
Right. So I go and I buy them, and then she's also like a part of the business, right? So she is involved in the business, which is my business partner, right? And so she sees the message, and then she was like, you idiot. She's like, you have to have like the harness and everything. Like that's the way that this works. Like that's not going to work. Like
Yeah, you
that's
gotta
a certain amount.
Got to get those convertible car seats that last from infant to 8 years old now.
I used to like never want to keep those around the house. Now I'm fixed. We can't have any more kids, but I like used to never want to keep the car seats and stuff like that around, because as soon as it would start coming around, it was like a voodoo that would be there. That it was like, it was any day now, like she's going to get pregnant. Like I just look at her differently, you know? And it was, yeah, I mean, like I said, it's interesting to see, but you see a lot of these, specifically moms, right? And they're taking care of the kids and they got the business going and everything. And it's just like, you offer little extra special things, like something as simple as putting some waters and car chargers into the car could literally make the difference between like that mom having a nervous breakdown and not. And I've noticed that in your business. Now, you sent my wife a cup, which it's blinged out. Not that I don't enjoy that, whatever, but I mean, it was definitely her, right? You got your bling cup here. Yes. But, you know, like just the personalization of it, like the thank you cards, the different things that you do that set you apart that's different. And it's really the little things. People don't realize it. Like, that's what sets you apart. That's the reason why you're, okay, you don't have to be modest. You blew everybody out of the water. You're the number 1 agent in the world. So
no, not there yet, but I'm not sure that I do. And I have a hard time saying no. So yes, I probably have 200 to 300 people traveling a month, which is a lot. Yeah. And, you know, all is great if things go well, but we all know the travel world these days, flights and cancellations and delays. And, you know, it's not always the easiest thing. So having me in your corner to handle all the issues when something arises and comes up, you know, like I'm the first contact to make sure that everything goes okay. And, you know, that's really what I'm there for. And the problem is a lot of times people will look online. Everything looks great online.
Yeah.
All the pictures, I travel out of the country probably 12 to 15 times a year. So I actually
say a week.
Yeah. Well, I did just get back from I was in 3 countries in 2.5 weeks.
Right.
So that was a lot. But thought customs was going to flag my passport there. But it
like
really
good
is all
to
about
have, in my
experience. I like to sell things that I personally have been to or have really good feedback of personal experience, because I just don't like sending clients just wherever. So I make sure they're the right fit and get the best vacation, because it's an investment for people. And, a lot of people, there's clients I have who have to save up for a few years to make this perfect vacation, so you want to make sure it's right because it's not something they do all the time and wants to check off all the boxes. So that's what I'm there for. And people don't realize my services are free. I don't charge any fees. And a lot of times I can get you a lot better deal than what you probably can find yourself.
Well, let's talk about that, right? So I remember for two things. For my 40th birthday, the guy showed up and it was like Daddy's birthday party. So it's a running joke, like the friends of my wife and everything, they say, okay, well, is Daddy taking care of this? And it's, just trying to be silly about it, right? But so you had the sign, that was awesome, and transportation, got right in there, got right to the resort and all that. But the big one was for me and Angie's 10th anniversary. And you were able to go above and beyond. I could not find a swim out room and an ocean view, right? And you within seconds, it was like, oh, well, I made a call. I was like, how did you do that? They called around, I called the resort. They're like, yeah, we're not talking to you, right? And I tried looking online. I tried all the different things. It's like in a world that everybody thinks they can handle everything themselves. They don't realize, like you're saying, sometimes the good old boy, or I'll say in this case, the good old girl system, it still is very much a play, right? And so you were able to get us this swim out room, which made my wife very happy, which made happy wife, happy life very much a reality. And then you were able to negotiate to where we had the candlelit dinner on the beach. It made it it was so flawless and it was so easy. And we had a butler. That guy still hits me up on WhatsApp, right? He's like, what's up, Steve? I seen you out there. But, that's, again, it's the little things. It really makes a huge difference. And, you've definitely delivered every time.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Is there, talk to me about the connections with that. Talk to me about, when do you contact the hotel, or is there room set aside, or is there something that is in the secret wing or something,
Well, a lot of times I do have close connections with a lot of the hotel reps and sales reps. I stay in touch with all of them.
Yeah.
I, get special perks and benefits for my clients, with the rate and status I'm at. But a lot of times they have inventory set aside for us sometimes too that you can't find online. And people don't realize sometimes when you package the flight and the hotel together, it saves a chunk. It takes the discount off the airfare and the hotel. It just depends. And it's always crazy. And flight prices change daily. Hotel prices change daily. So sometimes people reach out and 2 weeks later they decide, and I'm like, oh shoot, it's gone up $200. But I do, and I take pride in that. I go through my reservations weekly to price adjust. If anything drops and goes down, I always take care of my clients of, dropping the price. So that's always in the back of the mind. It's not always great to wait till the last minute. A lot of times with the things, the sooner you book, the better. Yeah. Prices keep going up and up the closer to when you want to travel, and availability, because the demand is there. And so it's crazy, the top resorts and stuff, how sold out they really are. But I always know, stay in touch with the new, bigger and better resorts coming out. Cancun is one of my top destinations for, clients and personally, like, has some of my favorite resorts there, and it's easy to get to, but love Jamaica and the Dominican and everything else too. It just depends. So
do you do a lot of cruises or anything like that?
I personally do not do many cruises. I do the Disney cruise. A lot of times I let my mom handle I push people off to my mom for the cruises just because when I started, COVID hit. And so we weren't doing any cruises there for a while.
Right.
And then in the meantime, like, the cruise industry is kind of completely separate, like, as far as it goes. So yes, I've been on like 15 cruises, so I know a lot about them. I am so busy with all-inclusive resort travel that I try to like focus on one thing that I know I'm good at, and I'm so busy, I just don't have the time to expand into cruises right now.
Well, you do what you're good at.
Well, and so I just kind of specialize, and like I said, I have such close relationships with my sales reps and stuff like that. So anytime there's an issue or whatever, I can usually make a call and, get it resolved pretty quick. Obviously we don't like issues, but we do need someone in our corner if something comes up. But I mean, in the future, I probably will move into offering more cruises and stuff too. To be honest, they're so time consuming that I just can't take on anything else of that matter right now. And it is coming back, because all the COVID restrictions and stuff have dropped with cruises, and they were very crazy there for a while. So I'm like, oh no. There were so many people who got turned away boarding, with COVID tests and stuff like that. And so it was a mess.
That was fun. Like having to like wait in line and like go and get, they like swab your brain. Like I'm just like, okay, you can stop. Yeah. Like, I don't know, it's like in my eyeball.
I am so glad that is over. Testing to come back into the U.S., that at first there was a lot of cancellations because people freaked out. What if I get stuck? And, but then after a while, it just wasn't going away. So it was kind of, I either have to do this to travel or I'm staying home. And so people did it. And yes, I had several clients get stuck, but we got them home.
Make it work. Yeah. It's like the butler, I remember that I was talking with, he had said, I was asking him like, well, what happens if you get stuck? And he was like, oh, well, the hotel will basically like, I guess, pay for your stay during that time. So I was like, I don't know about you, but like, I feel like my lungs are like clogging up real bad. And like COVID might be coming on because I might have to be trapped here. But he was like, no, they like basically put you into like the worst area of the hotel and, in the basement, and they, you can't come out of the room. Like, and they don't play around about that at all. In Mexico, it was, I mean, like you'd have guys that were like walking around with like heavy machine guns and things. Like they were not playing around about that at all.
They wanted to keep it, they wanted to make people feel safe about still traveling. And the precautions they took into place as far as like their cleaning protocols and everything else, everything was top notch. So that's kind of that's what was the craziest part to me. I was like, everything is like cleaner and safer there than it is anywhere in the U.S. right now, like all the precautions. And they like wanted to make sure people felt comfortable with coming. But a lot of the resorts, they would put them, they would be just like in a regular room, usually like a wing that wasn't full, and keep them back there. And I mean, you did have 24-hour room service and stuff, but you could not leave your room. I mean,
I'm good with like, some Doritos and a Kardashian marathon or whatever. I'm good with it.
Yeah, a few days. Yeah. But that's behind us. I hope that never comes back.
I know, right? Yeah. I worry about that just like in the election years and everything of how that potentially could re-arise, that kind of thing. But let's get into talking about where is your most favorite place to go. Do you have a favorite destination? Do you have a favorite resort? Maybe a little bit of both. I know that you've been to like every resort, but So let's talk about, like, I had seen you gone to the Nickelodeon resort, right, with the kids?
So we were not at Nickelodeon. We went to, we've taken the kids probably like 5 times. My girls are spoiled little brats now.
Right.
We go to our condo
Guilty.
in Florida,
Yeah,
and they're like, why didn't we go to Mexico? And they're obsessed with the swim up bars and the water parks. And so that's like their requirements. And they think room service is the coolest thing ever. So we went to Hyatt Ziva Cap Cana for spring break this year, which was absolutely amazing. You know, top notch. That probably is one of my favorite family resorts. We've been to Dreams Playa Mujeres in Cancun area a couple times. We just got back. We went there for fall break, and they have big slides and stuff. Same thing. And the unlimited ice cream is a huge thing too.
Yes, it is.
But they, you know, they just love it. And they have gotten, we're a Disney family, and we would go to Disney twice a year since they were babies. And, you know, that's probably my fault that we've probably overdone it. But, like, they still like Disney. Yeah. But the magic just isn't there as much as it was when they were toddlers and stuff. So we actually are going to Disney in a couple weeks again. So we still do that. But if you ask them what they want to do, they say they want to go to Mexico.
You're talking to a guy that evaluates resorts off of, like, the cheeseburger and fry selection. So, I mean, I understand they like to swim up bar, if they like the ice cream, that kind of, I totally get it.
Yeah. But my top, like, adults only resort, which I do a ton of, is one of them is Secrets Cap Cana in Punta Cana. I was fortunate to go there twice this year, in February and again August. We did my sister-in-law's wedding there. Just the service is unbelievable. Like, even just a lead-in room category has, you know, concierge service checking on you every day. Like, bring a cooler of drinks right next to your pool chair. I think the first day I was like, it's 3:30 and I have not gotten up. They brought all of our drinks. They would come over and say, it's time for a snack. What do you want for lunch? Bring everything. Brought, you know, champagne popsicles and crepe carts and everything. So, you know, there really are some amazing resorts out there. And you become, you know, some of the staff becomes family after a while. You know, they take such good care of you, and we like to take care of them in return. And they are such hardworking individuals that kind of work here can't be found.
I agree with you 100%. It's a totally different. It's incredible to me because people here have everything and want to give you nothing, but people in these third world countries, they would have nothing and want to give you everything.
Oh yes, absolutely. And so, you know, we try to take care of them when we go, and, you know, we're fortunate that both Travis and I have parents who are willing to watch our kids, because, you know, these adult only trips, you have to have someone to watch your children at home, and they usually split the time, and the kids love the extra time with their grandparents. And yes, they get their own vacations too, but sometimes mom and dad needs time.
I understand that.
I will say, like, that is my number one marriage tip is, you know, because we are so crazy running around with the kids all the time, that is our one time that we can connect and, like, feel like we have a relationship again, because when we're at home, we're constantly other places and never together, and that really is the only time we get, like, undivided attention, and we just reconnect. And I think it's so good for our marriage.
Yeah, I mean, I always call, like, the trips with the kids, I call them work trips, right? Because, you know, like, you're going, like, you don't have time to really relax with the kids. Like, as much as I love my kids, okay, I really do, but it's, you know, constant, like, hustle bustle and everything. And, you know, it's like taking them on trips, like you were just saying, like, you know, we would go to the Ozarks, we would go to Florida, and they're like, you know, like, you know, it's like, you know, oh, we're not driving. Like, I had a buddy of mine that came over that he has a Pagani, it's a Hura or what, I don't know what the heck the damn thing's called, but it's like a $5 million car, right? Oh, geez. So my kid's like crazy about cars. He hops in this thing, and I'm like thinking I'm doing pretty good with, like, a Ferrari and no. He was like, when you get one of those? I was like, save the date. Okay. Yeah. Save the date on that one, buddy. Yeah. Yeah, he was, but it's, these kids, like we've set the bar so high, and it sounds like you're a lot like me and my wife. We are guilty of spoiling our kids to the point of almost fault. And, but we give them such a good life, and that they can be able to be kids, and they can be able to look up and see, like what mom and dad have done. And at some point in time, they'll realize it. Like I always joke with my mom, I'm just like, okay, I'm sorry. Like I'm sorry for being a hellraiser as a kid. I definitely got the apple that fell off the tree. I actually got 2 of them, and they throw the apple right back at me.
Payback.
It is 100% payback, and she giggles about that. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely, like taking the kids with those things and exposing them to the world. Yeah, you had said that you had your biology degree or chemistry?
Chemistry, major in chemistry, minor in biology.
Right. So you had where you didn't really even, use that to where what you thought, everything. What I had realized on there is, so like I have, my business degree. Okay. And then I also like to say I have my BS degree. Okay. So, but in the sales world and stuff, like we go on these trips, and I didn't realize like how much I really paid attention in history class. I thought I slept through the whole thing. But when I'm touring the world, it's like I become a lot more interested in what the history of it was. Even, like going to the Mayan ruins or something like that, like it's seeing these different various things and traveling the world, mainly through the insurance companies. They do a lot of these incentive trips. So I've been fortunate enough to go to a lot of different countries and to experience a lot of things at a, plus 10 level. So it's, it's cool to be able to see when you're actually in it, like you have a different appreciation for it. And, I think the kids will be a lot like that too.
Oh, yes, for sure. And it's neat and to expose them, like the different countries we go to, whether Jamaica, Dominican, Mexico, they get to see that not everybody is as fortunate as us, so we try to give back. Like when we go to Jamaica, I always pack like extra, fly Southwest and have extra bags. And I take 2 suitcases full of like school supplies and different stuff for the kids there and there's just so appreciative. There's certain programs like that of like give back. One of the most recent trips, we were in the Dominican for work for top agency event. I was there with my boss, and they did a give back event where we built bikes, for these kids who have nothing, and they brought the kids in and we could present the bikes to them.
Oh, wow.
And so we just always also in the community try to give back. You see these, the workers who are so happy. They work, a lot of them work 18-hour days and 6 days a week, or sometimes they work 14 days in a row without a day off. And, they have nothing, and they make like less than $10 a day, but they're there to serve you and take care of you. And it's so just a real eye-opener of like how fortunate we really are to get to experience these things. And so we do try to take care of them. And, that's important to me, to always give back and do like help where I can to like the different children's communities and stuff like that. Just wherever it's needed, really.
So when specifically in the Dominican Republic, we went on it was an incentive trip, and this has been years ago, and we decided we were going to venture off the resort, right? So we quickly learned that there was an area that the tourists want you, like they want you to see the touristy areas, but as soon as you get off, like it's a whole different world.
Oh, yes.
And you don't realize like little things like underground sewer systems and street lighting and little things that like we just kind of, again, take for granted. We found some random Domino's pizza out in town, like some random place in the middle of nowhere. And we're like, oh, Domino's pizza. Okay, cool. We're going to go in there. We're going to get pizza because we knew they can't mess that up too bad, right? So we went and we sat down in this Domino's. It was me and a group of like a bunch of guys. And the guy like closes the door behind us. He was like, what are you doing here? And we're like, we're here for pizza, And he was like, nobody comes here for the pizza. And I'm like, oh, okay, we're going to die. Okay, so luckily we ended up getting out of that. We had like our one friend that spoke, Spanglish, right? And it was enough to be like, hey, like we're just tourists. We don't know where we're at or whatever. And we'll get out of here. We'll leave. It's fine. Just put the machetes away and stuff. And it's fine. So we ended up getting out of there. But like there is a certain area that is wanting to be seen. And I know like as simple as like this stuff, you know how everybody says like don't drink the water, like because there's a quality control within those resorts. So I'll give you an example. Angie and I, we went actually one of the trips that you had us on, and she's coming through the airport. She's like, I'm gonna stop and get a margarita because you hit the ground, you're ready to party, man.
Go.
Right? It's mom and dad. We're like, we don't have kids, so she drinks one of those like margaritas that they have like the necklace,
the yardsticks.
Yes. Yes. So she drinks that, and then like she is like ridiculous sick. Like at the resort, she's like ridiculous sick. And I was like, what in the world? Like you didn't eat anything like that I know of, and I was like, so we traced it back and I was like, it was that margarita. Is that margarita. And it's like that quality control that is so like people don't realize like when you leave that resort again, it's a totally different animal.
Yeah.
It's a totally different. I was actually just thinking of Travis. You're mentioning like being with these kids and the bikes, and I'm actually like picturing in my mind Travis with a bunch of kids in Haiti and like them crawling all over him or something, and him like just like throwing them around or whatever.
Be perfect for that.
Oh, he would love it. He would be like a kid in a candy store. So, tell me a little bit about, what else? Like what's something that somebody doesn't maybe know about you?
Good question.
Sorry, I don't mean to like put you on the spot over here and stuff. You don't have to answer. You don't want to. No pressure.
Mom of 3 and crazy. I probably look like I have my stuff together a lot of times, but I don't.
I think that's everybody. Like, we live in this world on social media where everything is filters and glitz and glam, but nobody really sees it. Like, there's problems that exist. There's, it's different hardships. I know Angie and I, we've been through hell and back together. And there's nobody I would have rather have gone through it with. She just, like she believed in me when nobody else did. And I believe in her. And, again, that's what makes it work. But, as far as I interrupted you.
No, you're fine. I always thought I was going to be a pharmacist, and I was going to go to pharmacy school. Travis and I got serious, and he was like, I want to build a house and get married. And
were you high school sweethearts?
No, we
college sweethearts?
Yeah, college
sweethearts.
So
didn't you all go to school though?
We
together?
did. Yes, we both went to the same high school, but he was 2 years ahead of me. So when it came down to it, I was ready to go to UMKC for pharmacy school, which I would have had to do 4 more years of school. And at that time, I was like, I don't want to move away for 4 years. And I was ready to get married and have babies. And, I didn't want to pass up the opportunity with him because things were going so well. And, even though like it may not at the time think that that's what you were going to do, things change and everything happens for a reason. And I wouldn't change anything for the world. That's why I came back and I was like, just give me my degrees. I'm ready to be done. And at that time I was like, major in chemistry, minor in biology. They're like, you have like 1 class away from double majoring. I was like, no, thanks. Everybody
Isn't that the way
else,
it always goes?
Yeah. Everybody else in my field was going into med school and stuff like that. And that wasn't what I wanted to do. But first and foremost, I wanted to be a mom if I could. I always said like if we were financially stable and could make it work, like I wanted to be there for my kids when they were young, and I got to do that. And I'm very fortunate for what I do. And, a lot of people always say they want my job, but you probably don't. You don't see, like last Christmas, I don't know if anybody remembers, Southwest had major cancellations. I remember. I was on the phone for like 14 hours straight, Christmas Day, that's kind of the part like that sucks is you're on call 24/7. Like, yes, I get to take vacations and stuff like that, but what people don't see, I'm up working until 3:00 in the morning on those, and still always on call, and I don't ever get a break, but I do that to myself because I take on so much business, and so it's a good thing and a bad, but I tried, because I feel like a bad mom and a bad wife, and so it's just trying to like find the balance in all of it.
We're a glutton for punishment with that. I understand that. I'm in the insurance business, so I totally get it.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, it's 2:00 in the morning. I'm just going to check on my policy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've had it all with that. And then, it never ends. When you own a business, people don't understand that, like, it's a great thing because you can control your hours. So you think,
Yeah.
you're on call 24/7, even going on vacation. So you're still in a lot of times you're working, but at least you're working in a better environment.
Yeah. That is true. But it's rough, because you're right. Like, basically being on my own, I'm 100% responsible for every single one of my clients. I don't push anybody off to the side. There's nobody on call, like it's me. And so if I get 40 new requests a day, emails of things going on, like I have to try to keep up because I can't take on 1,000 when I get home,
Yeah.
So it just depends. But the travel world is booming, and there's a lot of great resorts out there, and I know you kind of touched in. I am one that I've always have felt 100% safe at any of the resorts I go to. I will travel to Mexico alone by myself, but I hate going downtown St. Louis by myself. I refuse to do it. So
Ditto. Yes, I understand.
But I'm also smart as like the places I choose to go. Like I never recommend going in the streets of the downtown area and partying till 4:00 in the morning and wandering the streets like a drunken idiot. Like, you're setting yourself up for failure in those situations. But I've always felt 100% safe on the resort or any, excursion we do through the resort and stuff like that.
Did you guys do the ride the dolphin thing?
Yes, we've
Was that pretty
done
cool?
the dolphins. Yes, the girls loved that.
I'd be like the one guy to get attacked by the dolphin.
And we usually do like, the most recent wedding and friends groups and stuff. It's fun to get a private catamaran and rent it out for the day, and go over to like Isla Mujeres and rent golf carts and cruise around and just fun stuff like that.
We got chased by an iguana over there. It was like this pterodactyl looking. It was freaking amazing. Like
They're massive.
And the thing, we were feeding it. Okay, I'm like feeding it chips, like trying to be funny. I was like, he likes them. He likes the nachos. Like that's. And then Angie's like, quit feeding it, you idiot. And then all of a sudden we leave and he's right behind us. And then we like start walking faster and he's walking a lot faster. And before we know it, he's literally like running after us and we're like taking off out there. So
Oh, they're not scared of people. Yeah. Like I've had them come up like on my chair laying out and scared the crap out of me.
Right.
And some of the resorts have monkeys there too, which is kind of cool too.
I've not seen any monkeys yet, but they're like the little ones.
Yeah, the little ones.
Yeah.
And they'll like, and they'll let you feed out of your hand and stuff like that. But no, always a good time.
I would probably enjoy that in like a weird sort of way, I guess, but yeah, just, I don't know. I love being around nature. I love, like, I had just gone on we had a friend of ours that they invited us to go on a trip, and I was on a mission that it was like part of like my man list, right? I was going to catch a sailfish or, a marlin or something that could like spear you to death, right?
Yeah.
And the guys, like, we probably did this the wrong way, okay? So, like, they brought this brochure down to us on the beach, and, like, you're seeing people, and they got, these huge fish, and they're, like, hanging from the freaking top deck, or, like, the freaking, what do they call that? Anyway, the top of the boat, it was, like, the fish was hanging down. It was huge. It was, like, the size of the person, and he sees that, and then me and my buddy Brad, so we're like, yeah, let's sign up. everything. He says, well, okay, meet me down on the beach here at 8. So
geez.
we didn't really think about what he had just said of like, there's no marina on the beach,
They're
right?
just picking you up off the side of the beach.
Oh, wait. Yeah. So it gets better. Yeah. So we walk down there and it's like 7:45 or whatever. And all of a sudden you're seeing this little Gilligan's Island looking freaking like rescue ship. Just this guy come rolling through. And I look at Brad and he looks at me and I'm like, that's definitely our that's our ride. And he was like, yeah, we go. Right. You know? And then I'm like, that is definitely our ride. It was like a canoe. Okay. And we're going out and these waves are like all over the place. And so we go out on this boat. I don't know why. I was like, well, screw it. I mean, we've already paid for it at this point. I mean, what's the worst that can happen, right?
You did not do this for me. I did not.
I did not.
This.
I'm not going to. Yeah. This was not a Kristin supported excursion. Yeah. Or decision. Or my wife's for that matter. Yeah. So we go out there and I'm looking over at he's my neighbor, right? And I'm looking over at my buddy Brad. And I mean, he's just totally turning white. I mean, you could see like the seasickness is setting in and we're jogging out and we're not seeing like land slowly but surely disappearing, and the waves are just getting worse and worse and worse, and he's just that. So all of a sudden they get like this huge jerk on the line, right? And it's literally like pulling the boat around with us. And so he has me saddle in and everything else. He gets this like holster thing out, right? And it's like an extra small or something. I'm a big boy, right? You know, so he gets this thing out and I'm trying to like put this thing around me and it's not happening, right? And he was like, oh, too many tacos, senor, right? You know, and okay, smart guy, right?
Yeah.
So, and then my neighbor's just like cracking up. Like he hasn't said anything the entire time. He's cracking up and I'm like, all right, I hope you puke now, dude. Yeah. So they gave me this janky pole that has like electrical tape around it. And they're, you know, like you're supposed to hold the top and then and then you like go forward and it's like you reel down and then pull back, right? So, or you pull up and reel down. It's like a friction fire going on there with the freaking electrical tape. And I got like blisters and stuff and I'm like tapped out. Like I feel like I have just done an arm workout that like my body, like I could not move. Right. And I'm pulling this thing in. This thing's like 100 pounds. Right. So I'm sitting there trying to reel this sucker in. And my neighbor's like, come on, you freaking, you know, like man up, dude, you know, like you freaking, you know, you're tapping out. And I was like, oh man, you know, so I'm like, I get in the guy who's driving the boat. He goes and he grabs one of these like gardener glove things. Right. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like it's like a suede gardener glove or something. I was like, where the hell was that? Like when I got a freaking mound that's like forming off of my hand now from a blister. I was like, where the hell was that at? And he goes in there and he just like grabs the thing and pulls it up. And this thing is a monster. It was a sailfish and it was a huge sailfish. And I caught it and pulled it. And it was definitely like a bucket list thing for me.
Yeah.
The trip quickly ended after that. We were supposed to be out like all day. There was no way we were going to stay out all day. And I was probably in like a 3rd-degree sunburn at that point because I like burn in the moonlight. So I pulled the thing up and I was, you know, we're taking all kinds of pictures with it and everything else. Not like the brochure. Like there's nothing hanging. I'm literally, I have this thing in my lap and we're sitting there and we come back. And Angie's, it's still early in the morning, right? So she was recovering from the previous night. And so I walk back to the hotel and I come through the door and she's like, oh, hell no. She was like, go outside and burn your clothes. She's like, you smell like yesterday's fresh catch.
Hey, you made it back.
Right. I didn't die.
You didn't die. You made it.
Oh my
gosh. That's not what I would recommend. There's other things out there that are much nicer.
Oh my gosh.
At least you got something.
Oh, I mean, I still have pictures of it. It was a huge sailfish. It was like they wanted to know if I wanted to like mount it and stuff it. And I guess they like kept it. And I was like, well, what am I going to do with that? Like, am I going to pack it in my carry-on?
Oh, it's really expensive. People do it and they like ship it back home. And I'm like,
I'm good.
no.
I'm not exactly your hunter. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like
either.
maybe like a keyboard hunter, but that's about the only hunting I'm doing. Maybe like a Oreo hunter.
I don't want any dead animals hanging on my
Yeah,
wall.
it was something that it was such a memorable thing, but like it's those kind of memories. And I mean, like we went out, there was another trip that was local. It was when we ended up going to Tampa, and we went out on the deep sea fishing. It was like the like child friendly one. So they took you out right on the edge of the reef. And that was in Tampa. And there was this massive turtle, like the size of a freaking Hyundai, right? And my son, when he was casting out, he kept catching the turtle and bringing the turtle back in. So, and they were catching like, the little blowfish and like little snappers and, or red snapper, I think is what it was. But, there was not like huge fish. It was basically like bait fish is what we were catching. And other than the turtle, this thing was a monster, man. It was like prehistoric looking, but we made so many memories with these kids from like being out there and like our friends and everything. It's just, you got to reward yourself.
Yes, it's time. You can't take time for granted. You never know what's going to happen the next day. And so it is important to me to like make memories with my family and stuff while we can. And, I have a lot of older clients and stuff too. And, take that long trip that you really want to, they keep pushing it off, but do it while you still feel good. Like, there's like my grandparents, for instance, he's 90 years old and it had like a bucket list, like wanted to make sure he did a Alaskan cruise, and he put it off for so many times, so many years. Oh, we'll do it eventually. And then like, he finally got to do that last year, but he had to have help, like a wheelchair, because he has neuropathy in his legs and has a harder time getting around now. But he's like, I should have done this years ago, when I could fully enjoy it and be able to go and do the adventures and stuff like that. You just never know. So I think travel is a huge part of making memories and things that stand out.
How many people say, I'm going to do it, and then they just keep kicking the ball further along, and like you're saying, then eventually like you run out of time or you can't enjoy it like the way that you thought you were going to enjoy it. Even taking your kids to Disney, like Disney is not my thing personally, but the kids love it, right? So it's like Disney, like they see you coming, and it's like they got that big net that's like you just like take your wallet and just like chuck it in the net.
Oh, it's insane. Yeah. Like we are a Disney family. Obviously, my girls are princess obsessed, not as much anymore as they're getting older, but it was so fun when they were young, and my husband had never been before. And so like when I was like, okay, we're going, and I think the first time he went, I think our oldest was 2 and the youngest one was a baby still. Yeah. And he didn't think he would like it, but he's never turned down a Disney trip because he's like, seeing the excitement on the kids' faces make the whole trip. Like, and it's a completely different mindset once you get there, because they just loved it so much, and seeing the excitement and magic through their eyes is what made it. Like, I'm probably not we're not the kind to go to Disney by ourselves without kids, which I know a lot of people do.
And so, that's Travis's favorite freaking travel destination.
No, if we get a kid-free vacation, we're going to the beach.
You're not going to Disney?
No.
That's hilarious.
And that is true. Like, I always tell people, don't wait. People are like, oh, I want to wait till my kids are teenagers and remember it. And I was like, I'm going to remember it. And guess what? My girls, they do remember everything, all the trips and who they've gone with and everything else like that. But it's in the moment that matters, because it's not going to be as magical when they're teenagers versus when they're 3, 4, 5 years old, when those characters are everything to them. Because if you're going just for an amusement park, you don't need to be going to Disney. Like, I think it's more about the magic and the whole Disney atmosphere versus, and like basically every ride is an experience versus, just, oh, I just want to go on roller coasters and don't care about anything else. It's the fireworks, the parades, the meet and greets with the characters, all of that stuff. And as they get older, that's
so cool.
Not their cup of tea, but I have memories that will last a lifetime from that. So
my CFO used to always say, there's like I would be like, hey, we're going to go to Disney. And she's like, oh, you got to do Disney. And I was like, what does that mean? And she's like, well, there's a way to do Disney. Like, there's like a method behind it. Like, there's
method to the madness.
Yes.
For
it's
sure.
like, you don't stand in lines as long. You like can be able to stay on the resort, I guess, and there's a way to like do Disney and stuff. And again, these are things that, again, if like getting in touch with somebody that knows what the heck that they're looking at, has actually had eyes on the ground and knows, like you had recommended, my favorite resort is Haven.
Yes.
It's by far like we love it. We've been back there multiple different times. It's like you were saying, people had become family to us, that kind of thing. If it wasn't a couples resort, I would say let's take the kids there, that kind of thing, but it's not kid friendly. But, it's like, I don't know. I love it. I love going. I mean, I've been to a lot of different various places. I would say of my favorite places to have traveled, I'd say Dominican was actually like probably, I went to Casa de Campo.
Okay.
You familiar?
Yeah.
So I went to Casa de Campo. It was
activities.
a insurance incentive trip. And I was like top agent in the freaking country or something like that. So I like got all the bells and whistles with that. And that was in the days like they would like drop money from the ceiling and like money didn't even matter, you know? Now it's like maybe like drop some like gift cards to Wendy's or something like that, So everything has changed so much with that. But anyhow, as far as that goes, tell people, how do they get in touch with you? How do they reach Kristin so that they can, I mean, I know that you got a lot of people, but how do people reach out to you?
The best way is email. My email is travelgalkristin@gmail.com. That's the best way of contact, just because then I already have your email address and I can narrow down and get some info behind you, like of what you're looking for, and, get some options out that best will suit you. I always go off of people's budget, destination they have in mind, how many nights, who's going to be traveling with you. And, I do a lot of family travel too now. And people want resorts with water parks, for their kids. Yeah. And, before that wasn't really such a thing, but now all these new ones coming out, they have that for the kids. And let me tell you, it is amazing because it keeps the kids occupied all day long. And the resorts also have like great kids programs too. Mine have never done it because they didn't want to leave the pool or the water park, but like for teens and tweens of those hard age, especially boys, I feel like it's harder. Like they want their video games and stuff like that. Yeah. And they have like awesome arcade and video game setup rooms and stuff like that, and different activities they do with them too. But the best way is by email, but you can also call me. 636-578-5210 is my personal cell phone.
Can you spell out Kristin? Because I might be spelled. Or
yes.
Like, so it's Travel Gal
Kristin, and it's KRISTIN.
Okay.
At gmail.com.
Yeah. With an I, not an
with an I, not
with
an
an
E.
Yeah.
Yes, but I would be more than happy to take care of you. And like I said, I do a lot of honeymoons, couples trips, adults only, family friendly, friends groups, so many friends groups, senior trips, destination weddings, which are huge now. But so I always try to take care. And I would say, like, my number one question I get a lot especially with these destination weddings of people you get who've never traveled before, a lot of these guests. And it is good because it forces them to travel, and they're like, oh my gosh, why did I wait this long to do this? This is amazing, you know? And, but I get the question of like, do you feel safe? And I say, I can't tell you anywhere in this world is going to be 100% safe. You know, downtown St. Louis is not 100% safe. Our local grocery store is not 100% safe. So you just have to be mindful of where you're at. I would never take my children somewhere that I didn't feel safe, and I travel with them all the time. So I was like, that's my number one. Like, you can go by what, you know, I can't make you feel safe. I can just tell you that I'm still going here and I'm taking my kids.
It says a lot when
I
you're
will go
doing it.
by myself. So like, you can take that with a grain of salt. But stay on the resort, make smart choices, and you'll be fine.
Right.
So,
Don't get the deep sea fishing
do
excursion
not book
from the guy off of the
excursions
beach.
off
The random
people
guy
off the
selling
beach.
hats.
Yeah, no, do everything like through me or through the resort.
I'm an idiot.
To get taken care
I'll
of.
never forget that.
Yeah, save a few bucks. You don't know what you're getting, but
I can never eat tacos around my friend ever again, because it'll just be like, oh, I remember that time.
You made it. You made it back alive.
It was so much fun, but we are running short on time. I thank you so much for being on. Thank you for always taking care of me and my family and everybody that I send over there to you. You are one of our panel trusted inner circle advisors as well, that we have with our coaching and mentorship program. So again, thank you so much. And you know, congratulations
for
for everything you guys have accomplished.
Thank you.
All right.